Namaskar viewers, this is CVR English and it's time to roll the primetime news hour with me Anukriti Sharma. In the US election, campaigning is going on in full swing and both the candidates are on a grand media blitz. 3 days ago, Kamala Harris gave an interview to Fox News and the conversation was very short, but it was also very combative, to say the least. Harris practically talked about everything, from immigration to gender affirmation surgery. And what stood out, however, during this interview was how she managed to distance herself from Joe Biden's legacy. While on the other side, Donald Trump was also on Fox News, and this time for the town hall episode. He was trying to woo the women voters. He backed his support for IVF, which is in vitro fertilization, but he did it in a true Trumpian style by calling himself the father of IVF. 2 presidential candidates, 2 conversations, and 1 TV network at the center of it all. Looks like Fox News is the favorite viewers this election season. There's less than 3 weeks to go for the final polls, and both Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are on Fox making their final pitches to sway their voters. You see, on the 17th of October, Kamala Harris sat down with Fox News anchor Brett Baier. He is the prime-time political anchor for Fox News. The conversation wasn't that long, just around 25 minutes. It was her first interview with the network since she became the new Democratic presidential nominee, and must I say, it was quite combative. There was a lot of back and forth happening within this interview, with a few slightly hostile moments as well, where it was clearly indicative of a lack of active listening as well as defensive interruptions during the interview, majorly on the part of the host. But the interview had 3 main takeaways. The first was immigration. Well, we all know that during this presidential campaign, it's a key issue. This year, it is a key issue, and Kamala Harris was asked about her stance and also her many flip-flops on this matter. Another issue of contention was the taxpayer-funded gender reassignment surgery for prisoners. Kamala Harris had supported it in the past, and the Trump campaign has slammed her on the basis of this. So she was questioned about it as well, and Harris had one thing to say. She said she would follow the law, quote unquote. But she also stressed in the same breath that it was the same law that even Trump has followed. In fact, the federal law has been in effect since February of 2018, which brings us to the third issue. Harris's predecessor, Joe Biden. Biden, who right now happens to be the sitting president of United States of America. Biden dropped out of this race in July earlier this year, and he endorsed Harris. He got the nomination and then she got his funds too. Until now, she has embraced his policies rather publicly, but recently the vice president seems to have done a U-turn quite effectively. She seems to be keen on now distancing herself from the Biden administration, and remember viewers, this is the same administration that she was a part of. She stated during the interview, and I'm quoting, "My presidency will not be a continuation of Joe Biden's presidency. And just like every new president that comes into the White House, I will bring my own life experiences, my own professional experiences, and fresh and new ideas that represent a new generation of leadership." Unquote. That is what we heard Kamala Harris say during her recent Fox interview. So, the interview was combative, it was brief, that was Harris's stint at the Fox News. And what did Trump's interview look like, you might ask? Well, more of the usual. Donald Trump is no stranger to Fox News viewers. I'm sure all of us will agree with that. He even dials in for the morning shows, and the network in return has backed him throughout. So he did decide to choose to use Fox News to connect with an unlikely voter base this time, the women of America. And he tried to woo them in true Trumpian fashion. This was the Fox News town hall episode, and Trump was connecting with the women voters this time. Now, we don't know how much being the father of IVF will woo these women, but there is a clear strategy in place here, if you notice clearly. Harris's interview was held in Pennsylvania, Trump's town hall in Georgia. Now, these are the swing states, viewers. Whoever wins them also wins the presidency in the US. So the candidates are on a full-on mega media blitz. Now, we don't know who will come out on top, but looks like Fox News seems to be making the most of it. Take a look at this report.
The law, instead of bending to his will. This is among the reasons I believe so strongly that a second Trump term would be a huge risk for America and dangerous.
Immediately, we're going to end it. Because they're really, if he's as bad as you say, that half of this country is now supporting this person who could be the 47th president of the United States. Why is that happening?
This is an election for president of the United States. It's not supposed to be easy.
I know, but
it's not supposed to be. It is not supposed to be a cakewalk for anyone.
So are they misguided, the 50%?
Listen,
are they stupid? What is it?
I would never say that about the American people. And in fact, if you listen to Donald Trump, if you watch any of his rallies, he's the one who tends to demean and belittle and diminish the American people. He's the one who talks about an enemy within, an enemy within, talking about the American people, suggesting he would turn the American military on the American people.
We asked that question to the former president today. Harris Faulkner had a town hall, and this is how he responded.
I heard about that. They were saying I was like threatening. I'm not threatening anybody. They're the ones doing the threatening. They do phony investigations. I've been investigated more than Alphonse Capone. He was the greatest gangster. No, it's true. No, but think of it. It's called weaponization of government. It's a terrible thing.
So,
Brett, I'm sorry, and with all due respect, that clip was not what he has been saying about the enemy within that he has repeated when he's speaking about the American people. That's not what you just showed.
Well, he was asked about that specific...
No, that's not what you just showed. In all fairness and respect to you,
that was the question that we asked him.
You didn't show that, and here's the bottom line. He has repeated it many times, and you and I both know that. And you and I both know that he has talked about turning the American military on the American people. He has talked about going after people who are engaged in peaceful protest. He has talked about locking people up because they disagree with him. This is a democracy. And in a democracy, the President of the United States, in the United States of America, should be willing to be able to handle criticism without saying he'd lock people up for doing it. And this is what is at stake, which is why you have someone like the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff saying what Mark Milley has said about Donald Trump being a threat to the United States of America.
We know who Donald Trump is. He is someone who will stop at nothing to claim power for himself. And you don't have to take my word for it. I've said for a while now, watch his rallies. Listen to his words. He tells us who he is. And he tells us what he would do if he is elected president. So here tonight, I will show you one example of Donald Trump's worldview and intentions. Please roll the clip.
The worst people are the enemies from within.
The enemy from within. Those people are more dangerous, the enemy from within, than Russia and China.
These people should be put in jail the way they talk about our judges and our justices. Now, if you had one really violent day, one rough hour, and I mean real rough.
I think the bigger problem are the people from within. We have some very bad people. We have some sick people, radical left lunatics. And I think they're and it should be very easily handled by, if necessary, by National Guard, or if really necessary, by the military.
words. You heard his words coming from him. He's talking about the enemy within Pennsylvania. He's talking about the enemy within our country, Pennsylvania. He's talking about that he considers anyone who doesn't support him or who will not bend to his will an enemy of our country. It's a serious issue. He is saying that he would use the military to go after them. Think about this. And we know who he would target. And we know who he would target because he has attacked them before. Journalists whose stories he doesn't like. Election officials who refuse to cheat by filling extra votes and finding extra votes for him. Judges who insist on following the law instead of bending to his will. This is among the reasons I believe so strongly that a second Trump term would be a huge risk for America and dangerous.
Immediately, we're going to end it. Because they're really...
Is that an executive order you do that with?
They're really... I could do it with an executive order. I'll have to do it with an executive order. You can do it with the Aliens of 1798. We can do things in terms of moving people out.
If he's as bad as you say, that half of this country is now supporting this person who could be the 47th president of the United States, why is that happening?
This is an election for president of the United States. It's not supposed to be easy.
I know, but
It's not supposed to be. It is not supposed to be a
So
cakewalk
are they misguided, the 50%?
Listen,
Are they stupid? What is
God,
it?
I would never say that about the
Shifting focus now to the ongoing India-Canada row and how it is worsening the bilateral relations between the two nations. It was, after all, intelligence and not evidence. Justin Trudeau has admitted it, finally, that his government gave no proof to India. And with this statement, he stands exposed. Trudeau destroyed India's relationship with Canada without having any solid evidence. And we have it straight from the horse's mouth now. Listen to this.
Hard evidentiary proof. So we said, well, let's work together and look into your security services and maybe we can get that done. And at that point, it was primarily intelligence, not hard evidentiary proof. So we said, well, let's work together and look into your security services and maybe we can get that done. And at that point, it was primarily intelligence, not hard evidentiary proof. So we said, well, let's work together and look into your security services.
Trudeau was at a public inquiry yesterday and he was testifying about foreign interference in Canada and how his government is responding to it. More specifically, this inquiry is looking into Trudeau's own shortcomings, so the spotlight was directly on him, and that's why he's trying to deflect it now by shifting the blame to India. But he's only made the situation worse for himself, and in his testimony, Justin Trudeau referred to an incident from last year, viewers, and it happened at the G20 summit. Remember, India had played host to that summit last year. Trudeau had especially flown into New Delhi to attend this summit, and he claims to have confronted India on that visit. Watch this.
We knew that they were involved and expressed a real concern around it. He responded with the usual response from him, which is that we have people who are outspoken against the Indian government. We knew that they were involved and expressed a real concern around it. He responded with the usual response from him, which is that we have people who are outspoken against the Indian government. We knew that they were involved and expressed a real concern around it. He responded with the usual response from him, which is that we have people who are outspoken.
Viewers, if you saw that video carefully, Trudeau is referring to the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Both the leaders had a meeting on the sidelines of the G20 summit last year, and Trudeau claims that he discussed the Nijjar case with Prime Minister Modi, the case that triggered this current standoff. Some context for our viewers here. Canada is now blaming India for the death of a man called Hardeep Singh Nijjar. He was shot dead in Canada last year. Nijjar was a Khalistani campaigning to break up the state of Punjab from India. He had been designated as a terrorist by the government of India, and India wanted him arrested. Trudeau conveniently skips that fact in all his statements, but he only ended up embarrassing himself. Listen to this now.
To cooperate with us. Their asks of us was, well, how much do you know? Give us the evidence you have on this. And our response was, well, it's within your security agencies. You should be looking into how much they know. You should be engaging. It's, oh, no, tell us what you know. Show us the to cooperate with us. Their asks of us was, well, how much do you know? Give us the evidence you have on this. And our response was, well, it's within your security agencies. You should be looking into how much they know. You should be engaging. It's, oh, no, tell us what you know. Show us the to cooperate with us. Their asks of us was, well, how much do you know? Give us the evidence you have on this. And our response was, well, it's within your security agencies. You should be looking into how much they know. You should be engaging. It's, oh, no, tell us what you know. Show us the to cooperate with us. Their asks of us was, well, how much do you know? Give us the evidence you have on this. And our response was, well,
Trudeau said that India asked his government to show the evidence. And how did Canada respond? By telling India that you should look into this, unquote. In other words, Canada had no concrete evidence to support their claims, and they expected India to find the evidence on their own, just on the basis of Justin Trudeau's words. Like we have said earlier, Trudeau is in the trust me bro phase right now, and this whole spat with our country is a result of that. Viewers, it's needless to say, it couldn't have been more bizarre. It shows how Trudeau handled, or rather mishandled, the whole situation. And he blamed India in the Canadian Parliament. He sabotaged a highly important bilateral relationship just on the basis of what he calls, quote unquote, preliminary intelligence. And this happened 1 year ago, viewers. So Trudeau had enough time to make amends, to fix the damage, or to provide the evidence to back up his claims. He did none of that. Canada still has got no evidence. It has got no evidence to show to India. Take a look at this.
Imputations against our diplomats. September of 2023, the Canadian government has not shared any shred of information with us. As regards the allegations, PM Trudeau's own admission yesterday would indicate the value of these allegations. As regards our stance, we will naturally reject false imputations against our diplomats. September of 2023, the Canadian government has not shared any shred of information with us. As regards the allegations, PM Trudeau's own admission yesterday would indicate the value of these allegations. As regards our stance, we will naturally reject false imputations against our diplomats. September of 2023.
The national capital says that Canada has not shared one single shred of information, but 4 days ago the Canadians upped their antiques. They have now accused 6 Indian diplomats of some rather heinous crimes such as murder and extortion. This fiasco is now backfiring on Trudeau. It has severely undermined whatever was left of his credibility, viewers. It is now becoming increasingly difficult to take this man seriously, especially after his testimony. Only intelligence, no hard proof, no hard facts. That is what he has stated. This admission will now haunt Trudeau. No mature country would give much weight to such claims. Intelligence, you see, by its very nature, needs substantial corroboration to be credible. Otherwise, you end up with disasters like the Iraq War, where the West attacked the Saddam regime without any concrete proof of the weapons of mass destruction, if you remember. Viewers, Trudeau's walking the same path right now. His statements on India got all the attention recently, but he took aim at the opposition too, the Canadian opposition. He says that the Conservatives have been compromised. That's the opposition party of Canada, the Conservatives. He said that their MPs are involved in foreign interference campaigns. Again, Justin Trudeau claims that he has specific intelligence and that he can name the compromised lawmakers, but he did not name them. And as expected, the Conservatives have issued a sharp reaction. Their leader is a man called Pierre Poilievre. He is also the leader of the opposition in Canada. Poilievre has now dared Trudeau to release the names of those compromised lawmakers, and he did not mince his words at all. He said, quote unquote, Justin Trudeau is lying, and that China helped him win the last 2 elections. In fact, Trudeau was grilled on that too. The Chinese interference, Chinese meddling. And unlike India, there is plenty of evidence to suggest that China is meddling in Canada, that it meddled in the Canadian elections to help Trudeau win. They even caught a compromised lawmaker last year. His name is Han Dong. Dong lobbied the Chinese diplomat to keep 2 Canadians inside a jail in Canada. So it is quite a serious affair, and with hard facts too. But what did Trudeau have to say about the Chinese meddling? Precious little. He was asked specifically about the activities of the Chinese diplomats in Canada, and he tried to downplay the concerns. He said, and I'm quoting, "It is fairly obvious and a part of what diplomats do in all countries in all parts of the world," unquote. It seems that Trudeau doesn't see an issue with the Chinese meddling, even when there is proof. But do the people of his very own country agree? Last year, a poll was conducted. Interestingly, it revealed that a majority of Canadians viewed China as a big threat, but they held a favorable opinion of India. Justin Trudeau's bent on ruining that. He's bent on ruining relationships with India. He now blames India and offers no proof. He also blames the Canadian opposition and offers no proof, but he shields China where there is ample proof, if we have to speak about proof. The people of Canada should probably ask, why?
Intelligence, not hard evidentiary proof. So we said, well, let's work together and look into your security services and maybe we can get that done. We knew that they were involved and expressed a real concern around it. He responded with the usual response from him, which is that we have people who are outspoken against the Indian government to cooperate with us. Their asks of us was, well, how much do you know? Give us the evidence you have on this. And our response was, well, it's within your security agencies. You should be looking into how much they know. You should be engaging us. No, tell us what you know. Show us the evidence.
September of 2023, the Canadian government has not shared any shred of information with us. As regards the allegations, PM Trudeau's own admission yesterday would indicate the value of these allegations. As regards our stance, we will naturally reject false imputations against our diplomats. Yesterday, again, after the public inquiry, public hearing, we had again issued a statement saying that Canada has leveled serious allegations but has so far not given any evidence to back it up. As far as the allegations are concerned, PM Trudeau's own admission yesterday would indicate the value. As regards our stance on the allegations, we will naturally reject false imputations against our diplomats. As regards the allegations, PM Trudeau's own admission yesterday would indicate the value of these allegations. As regards our stance, we will naturally reject false imputations against our diplomats. There is a gap between action and words here.
So we have seen statements coming in from five countries, US, UK, Australia, New Zealand on Trudeau's allegation. My question is, have we reached out to these countries on the whole issue, especially after Trudeau admitting that his government had no concrete evidence against his allegation?
I would like to say that, we have made our position very clear on this particular matter. You would have seen that several press releases have been issued in the last 2 days, putting out our position, which we are very clear that since September of 2020.
Shifting focus to India now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is all set to inaugurate and lay the foundation stone for multiple development projects which are focused on enhancing the infrastructure and the public services. And during his recent speech, he will highlight the government's commitment to sustainable development and economic growth, showcasing the visuals of the projects that underscore their potential impact on the local communities and the economy of the country. At the inauguration ceremony of R.J. Shankara Eye Hospital in Varanasi, Modi ji has outlined India's health strategy, emphasizing 5 key pillars: preventive health care to stop diseases before they can occur, timely diagnosis, affordable treatment and medicines for all, improved healthcare access in smaller towns to address the shortage of doctors, and the expansion of technology in the field of healthcare. Watch this.
बड़ा खेल के तैयारी बढ़े, अच्छी सुविधा मिल गई है। साथियों, समाज का विकास तब होता है जब समाज की महिलाएं और नौजवान सशक्त होते हैं। इसी सोच के साथ सरकार ने नारी शक्ति को नई शक्ति दी है। करोड़ों महिलाओं को मुद्रा लोन देकर उन्हें व्यापार करने की सहूलियत दी गई है। आज हम गांव-गांव में लखपति दीदी बनाने के लिए काम कर रहे हैं। आज गांव की हमारी बहनें अब ड्रोन पायलट भी बन रही है। और ये तो काशी है, यहां साक्षात शिव भी माता अन्नपूर्णा से भिक्षा मांगते हैं। काशी ये सिखाती है कि समाज तभी समृद्ध होगा जब नारी सशक्त होगी। इसी भावना से हमने विकसित भारत के हर संकल्प में नारी शक्ति को केंद्र में रखा है। जैसे पीएम आवास योजना ने करोड़ों महिलाओं को
A blast occurred recently outside the CRPF public school in Delhi's Rohini area, prompting an immediate investigation by the police. I'm sure not a positive way to end a prime-time bulletin, I know. Authorities have now launched a strict probe into this incident to determine the circumstances surrounding this explosion. A team from the Forensic Science Laboratory, or the FSL, has also been deployed to collect evidence from the scene, aiming to gather crucial information that could assist in identifying the exact cause of this blast and any potential suspects involved. The situation remains under close scrutiny, viewers, as the officials at this point are working to ensure the safety of the surrounding area as well as the local community. Watch this.
अभी गोयल राजीव रंजन आलोक कुमार जितने नाम दे दो एसीपी अभी इतने सारे एलिमेंट यहाँ पे दिख रहे हैं मैंने कहा उन्हीं के नाम लोगों आधे का पूरे सर ऐसी कोई एक डीसी अधिकतम बता रहा मैडम और साहब के अलावा वो तुम्हारे पास हाँ राकेश को बोलना है लिखने का खालिस्तानियों से खतरा
Well, that brings us to the wrap of this edition of Primetime News Hour with me, Anukriti Sharma. I shall catch up with all of you once again tomorrow at 9 p.m. with another compelling and a persuasive story. Until then, keep watching CVR English for more news and updates.